Trading the foreign exchange market carries high risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Trading on margin, utilizing leverage can carry an even higher level of risk that can lead to a complete loss of investment funds. So before deciding to trade the foreign exchange market or using any of our software alert products, you should carefully and diligently consider your personal investment objectives, level of experience, and risk tolerance. There is a possibility that you could potentially sustain significant loss. You should not invest any capital or trade that you cannot afford to lose. It is your responsibility to be aware of and understand all risks associated with foreign exchange trading and to seek professional advice from an independent certified financial advisor if you have any doubts. Auvoria Prime does not exercise trading authority over your trades. You and you alone exercise discretionary trading authority over every trade.
Forex Factory today, May 20th. It looks like we have a red folder. Bank of Canada, red folder at 11 o'clock this morning. So we'll be aware of any Canadian trades, any Canadian pairs around 11 o'clock. We'll be done with it by that time, but for your own future reference. Other than that, there's not too much for red folders for Thursday. So that's pretty much it for that one. Let me see if there's, I don't have it on the Forex. And then let's take a look at our strength meter to see what's strong, what's not. Right now, I'm looking at nothing. The US dollar seems to be the weakest currency of the 8. So we'll be trading against the US dollar. We'll trade to that weakness. Right now, the Canadian dollar and the Swiss franc seem to be strong on the lower 2 time frames. We have our this is the 15-minute, this is the 30. These are 2 I look at mostly. This is I look for more for pullbacks. This is I'm looking for direction. The higher time frame just gives me some confidence that it's there's a higher time frame pressure to whatever direction we're looking at. Swiss is strong, CAD Swiss is strong, and the dollar is weak. So we're looking at the Swiss, Aussie against the US dollar. So basically Swiss, Aussie, and the Canadian dollar, euro, all against the US dollar. So we'll take a look at that. Let's see, what else do we have here? Let's switch screens again. And we're going to go to the charts. And one more thing before I do that, I'm going to move this over. So we have this behind my screen, and then I'll pull this up. So we should now be seeing the charts. Is that correct? And right now, I was looking at the...
Sorry, I was muted. Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. There you go. Let's see, why do I have that one? Oh, that's gold. I know that one's going to be coming into play. Someone's going to be asking about gold later on. Basically, with this gold, right now, this is the only thing we really have right now. We don't have a German 30. Let's take a look at German 30. We are in the European markets. German 30 is kind of, I would reference that to like our Dow 30. The fact that their markets are open, we can probably trade that. And I like to compare that to the euro. We did say that the euro, where's the euro strength? Euro is pretty much, euro's kind of strong right now. Not overly strong, but it's kind of in the upper third here anyway. So we would be trading, looking at the euro or the British 30. If the euro is strong, then we'd be looking at the German 30 as being a little bit weaker. Right now, we're not really sure which way it's going to go. It's in a kind of zone. We have a little bounce arrow go right up into the zone. This thing could come up to, I'll be looking at this area right in here for the, you do see my charts, is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, I just make sure. I would be looking at, this is the, we see a nice little downtrend here. I'm going to put, the first thing I do is put the moving averages up if I don't forget. See which way the moving averages are going. Right now you can see it's starting to bounce. We have this little zone right in here, bouncing right off the 200 moving average. So I would expect to bounce. It's going to have to get through that. If it can push through that, pull back, then we're looking for this as being a possible target. That's at 15,288 down to where the top of this is at 15,242. So we're looking at about $46 worth of movement on that. That could be a significant move. Right now, what I'm going to be looking at, I'd like to see where's the less significant down move. And so this is going to be where I'm going to start my Fibonacci's from here. I'm going to be looking at from this zone down to this zone. I'm going to draw my upper 25 and lower 25%. Try and be very mechanical, very routine about this. So here's my upper 25% of this. So this is the upper 25% of this down move. Here's the shape, that's rectangle. Here's the lower 25% of the down move. Let's take it on over here. So this is where so what I'm doing is I'm identifying, even though it's trending in this area, it's still basically going sideways. So I'm looking for it to bounce from there, come back down here, bounce from there, go up to here, and just keep going back and forth until it breaks through one of these and starts another stronger trend, as this one was to the downside. I'm going to mark my 61. Everything seems to kind of fall back into the 61 to 38% zone. So I'm going to make the marks on that. It's like these zones right here, the 61 to 50 to 38, they're kind of like a magnet. Wherever price breaks through that, it sort of comes back and retests those areas oftentimes. And that's what we're trying to catch. There's a little bit of those movements into these zones, try and go for our getting enough room to get our pips and prices out of it. I look at the zone from here, it's like 15,137. So these zones are about $40 zones, which is a nice comfortable area for targets. But right now we're going to have to wait for it to come up in here, come back out of this upper blue zone, come back up and retest it, and then we're looking for targets down to this way on the downside. If it breaks through the top of this, then we're looking at, if it can break through this area, then we're looking at this move all the way down here. Then I'll redraw the Fibonacci's. But right now we're looking at it bouncing off. This thing's still pointing down. We have a little bit of a consolidation coming in here. It went up, pulled back, and right now it's retesting this high to see where it's going to go. Like we said, the euro was a little bit stronger. Yes, Eva.
I just said it looks like it's forming an M.
It does. So right here, that's a good point. Let's go. So here, if you look at the M, here's the left leg of the M right here. And if you look down here, it's crossing this little pivot down here. Here's the left shoulder of the M. And coming up from here to up here, there's our right shoulder of the M. It's coming up, tagging this. Now it's making let's see, let me expand this out a little bit. So here's our M up. Now what I would like to see, well, let's see, with this, we're looking at coming up here, see if it makes a lower high. You have a little red zone right here. You can see that, you can see where it's pink. It's just shadow, it changes colors when you overlay different colors. But right now it's respecting this 200 moving average. If it can come down and break and close below, right now I'm be looking at, it's not going very deep. If it goes deeper, then I want to see it break below the 76. If it just tags this and comes back down, then I want to see it kind of pull back, break below the 61. Then I'm looking for a little bit of retracement, and then I'm looking for it to tag the 50, look for a little retracement, close below, then close below the 38, looking for the retracement until it gets back into this zone. Now we're on a 15-minute chart, so we're going to be seeing, so we have the left shoulder of the M, here's the middle of the M, but as you see, this is all the way down here at the 38. So if it can break through, we actually have a little bit of a trend line. Let me see if I can redraw this this trend line right here. Try and redraw this. Here's the anchor. Here's the first hit. And so now if it comes back down, there's a good chance it will come down, retest this area. It could break through this a little bit and then come back up and retest. We do have a trend from yesterday's high, overnight high, and we'll see if it's what this area will do, if this will hold. We do have our Fibonacci drawn all the way up to this red zone here. That's where that 100 line is. So right now we're just trying to see, it's kind of in a bit of a range bound right now. So I'm not real anxious about taking anything with it at this point, but we'll just kind of keep our eye on this one and see where it goes. Let's see, let's take a look. That was the German 30. And let's see, what else were we looking at? We're looking at the Swiss US, I think. Swiss is strong. US is weak. Swiss and Aussie US. So since we're don't have any other alerts right at the moment, let's go to the Swiss, US Swiss. Let's try this one. Try this on a 15-minute chart. Bring my template up. And we're just doing this as we're waiting around, trying to find trades that may be starting to materialize and start to develop. Again, you see all this consolidation going on right here, and it's probably stuck between here and here. We have 39 pips, so it's kind of a tight zone. We usually like to see 50 pips in between the zones, so this one's a little bit tight. We do have the moving averages. Everything's in the right direction to go short, except for the 200, and it just sort of bounced around that. Let's see. We were looking at the dollar weakness, so this thing should really be going to the upside. If the dollar is weak, that means the euro or Swiss is strong. Oh, excuse me, this is US Swiss, so dollar weakness. So this should be going to the downside. Should be going short. We've been looking at favoring the going short on this. Here's a nice strong move down. Here's the pullback. We don't really have our, I don't know if I want to use this one or this one for the retracement. Here's a pivot low. Here's a low that was higher than this. So I think we can actually probably cut. This one's not going to be real clean because it's going to be so narrow. The range is a little tight. If we look, I said we're only looking at a 50 pip range from the very top to the bottom. We're looking at, well, that's 50 pips point to point. We can draw the Fibonacci. I'll draw from this point up to here. Look at my top 25%, which is this zone. Trying to be very mechanical about this. Here's the top 25 right in this area right here. I say 25, it's really 23.6 if you want to be specific about it. And here's the shape. Go to rectangle, go to the bottom 25%. I'm going to go from just today's move from here to here. This is the day range. If it breaks out of this range today, then we'll be looking at going lower or higher, depending on which way it breaks. Right now, I sort of favor the downside. It came into the 23, pulled back out of the 23 range. Now we have a little bit of there's a low, a higher low, and now we're seeing if this thing's going to come back down and go a little bit deeper. I'd like to right now the moving averages are still pointing down, so I'm really looking at pullbacks in this particular case. The problem with this is we're already into the lower 25. It already came down, pulled back, and so it found the buyers down in here, pulled back, came back, retesting this area. This is really, I'm looking at this thing really kind of reversing to the upside, but it's going to take some time for these moving averages to come down and retest it. I'm on a 15-minute chart. We can look at it on a 5-minute. Blow it up a little bit here. And you can see like this moving average, the 5 period is coming up. It went up to the yellow, couldn't cross over. And right now it may cross. If it starts to cross, then I'm going to be looking at this thing to maybe start working its way back to the upside, maybe up to this moving average. And from that point down here, that gives us 12 pips, maybe 15 pips, close to 15. There's 13.6. I'll be looking at this for an up move to this target, but I got to get things turned around a little bit. I do like this trend from this area, from this pivot down low. I like it. Here's the retest. There's the bottom of our wedge. Here's a strong move down. Here's the bottom. Pulled back, couldn't break through here, bounced off. Now I'm looking at pretty much of a flat top of this zone. And so right now it's sort of in between this red and this blue area right down here. No, nothing really to hang your hat on to take the trade on this yet. But we'll wait and see how it develops. But the dollar was weak to the Swiss franc. It does have pressure to the downside, but I think that's also going to start turning around as you start seeing these moving averages cross over, testing it, come back down, maybe retest this trend line. If it can come up, retest this trend line, we might have a trade to go to the upside. But right now, I will not try and take this thing short in this area. Let's see. Let me mark the other zones. These are our target zones that we're going to be looking at. There's the one target zone. Now these targets were created by the Fibonacci's off this down move. Now we're just looking to see it come back up and cross, come back, cross and close, come pull back, maybe back to here, enter long, come back up. Use that for a target. Use the 200 moving average for a target. When you start seeing these moving averages cross over and align with our target zones, that's like two targets all to one spot. That's sort of like a little bit of an energy point. You have a moving average at that point. You have a zone at that point. And so that's how we're going to be looking at that. And I'm basically looking at seeing this strong move up, came into the 23, pulled back out, tagged the 50% retracement of this down move, came back down, retested it. Now I'm going to be looking at these pullbacks. Now I see a little bit stronger pullback. This is a strong move up, based, came back down, retested. Now I'm looking at to see going to the upside. If I go to a 1 minute chart, expand it out even more, see where the moving averages are on the 1 minute. And here was the pullback, right? This is a nice little move right here. It came out, was into the lower 25, pulled back out, tested it. Now it's coming back to retest our trend line. See if I can make this a little darker so we can see it a little better with this. There you go. You can see that trend line a little bit better. I'm going to redraw the Fibonacci. I'm going to keep these zones for my targets. Come over here, my Fibonacci, going to delete that. Still keeping my zones. And now I'm going to be drawing the Fibonacci. The fact this thing pulled, strong move out, pulled back. Now I'm looking to see how deep is it going to go. And I'm going to suspect it's probably going to come back into the zone and retest this trend line. If it does, you could possibly take this trade here. If I want to see the moving averages start to move in the right direction up towards this, I want to see the green followed by the yellow followed by the orange, all in the right direction after this pullback to take along, and then using this pretty much as a target. Right now we have the bounce. We have a 1 minute arrow. Here's the arrow right in here. Let's mark that. Here's where the arrow closed on this one. I'm going to change the color of this so we don't get them confused with the other lines. This is telling me that it's possibly that this thing could start to be turning around. Let's make this one. Oh, let's see. Let's make it. Maybe we can make it purple. Maybe. That's where we had the bounce arrow, and now we have a pullback. It's pulling back to the 50. Remember, we like to see a pullback. I like to see it kind of test this trend line right here. And I'm looking for it did pull back to the 23, to the 38, to the 50. So right now it's testing the 61% line right here. There's a little wick, hit the 61%. This could be a possible trade here coming up here. We wouldn't have a big risk if we took it off this. If we can bounce off of this trend line, you're only risking 2 pips. Probably not even your spread. But it does seem to be having some. It found the zones, found the buyers came in, strong move out, coming back in, retesting it, pick up its buddies, and then maybe go up higher. So I'm looking at this as being somewhat of a long. Let's check and see where our strength meter is with the U.S. If the dollar starts getting strong to the Swiss, that's going to be a good indication that we may be in the right direction. The dollar is starting to pick up some speed there. Not so much here. The Swiss is getting a little bit weaker here. Still pretty good spread here. So I still don't want to trade against this. I don't want to be taking the US dollar long when the Swiss franc is real strong. So we're just going to have to wait our time and be patient with this one. Right now, the Swiss is strong, so still pressure to the downside. We're going to see if it comes back out. I like to see a bounce. If it comes down bounce, as this slope gets closer to the top of this blue line, it's going to give us a little bit better chance, a little bit better confirmation that this might be our target up here. That's going to be that's only 4 pips. This moving average is only 5 pips, and that's not enough to trade. So, but it is starting to set up to go long though. But we'll see what happens with that. Any questions so far? I know that's a lot of information, but that's what we have.
No questions.
No questions. Anything else that's looking? Let's see here. Anybody have a pair that they want to take a look at while we're waiting for something to pop up here? Let's take a look at our German 30, see how that's faring here. Right now it's coming back up into our red zone. The dollar is still weak, which means, or excuse me, that's where the euro is. The euro is middle of the road, middle of the road, middle of the road, middle of the road. Nothing real strong to confirm that the German 30 is going to go up higher or lower. It's just right now it's in kind of no man's land. I don't want to take that trade without a little bit more of a spread with that.
Can we look at the S&P since nobody has suggested anything else?
We can do that. Let's look at the S&P. This is a little bit early for the S&P, but we can start planning our trade for. The S&P will probably start moving around, usually around 9 o'clock, you may start seeing the S&P start moving. US Swiss 1 minute sell. Okay, that was the one we were looking at. We'll go back to that one. We know it's not quite ready to go in either direction on that. Here's the S&P. Let's take a look at this. So right now, get the moving averages up. Part of the routine. Open the chart, put the moving averages on, take a look and see where we're at. Again, here's our 200 moving average. So everything is below the 200. Price is just crossing over the arrow moving average. So right now it's consolidating. We have a, I'd be looking at, let's see. If it can break through this, if we can start getting some close above this moving average, then I'll be more apt to use the, let's see if I can move this over here a little bit. And I'd be looking at using this down move right now. If you look at the days back and see where the high was. This was the high. This is Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. So this is pretty much the week's high right now. This was the last week's low. This is really the range that's trading in. Here's a pivot. Here's a pivot. I'm going to draw a trend line. I changed my chart, changed my colors here, because I can't see it. There's my trend line there. And we're going to draw the Fibonacci's. And I'm going to take it, since this thing came back down, this is respecting this, I'm going to use this for my lower fib. I'm going to use this for the higher fib. Mark my zones. Here's the top 25%. It'll just take it from the day. Here's my top 25% to the end of the day. We would redraw this every day pretty much. I always start my charts out fresh. Here's the days range here. Oops, wrong one. Here's the lower 25. Here's the 0, the 100. Bring this down to the 25% range right here. You can see right now we're in between this whole range. It has no place to go really right now. Let's move this out a little bit. Here's my 38, 50, 61. We'll mark those. Change my colors. Whatever color you make it last, that's what's going to pop up the next time. Try and be consistent with the coloring on these things. Here's my 3 zones. Here's my top 25, lower 25. Here's our target zones. Right now, you see came back down, pulled back out of the 25 area. And actually, I could probably draw this a little bit. Let me take this back a little bit further so you can see this a little clearer. Came into the zone. This big move on the other side, way off here. This is where it came in. There's the top 25. Came in, pulled back out. You can see where it kind of came, closed above the 61, pulled back. Next target was the 50, pulled back. And right now I'm looking at this thing could possibly come back up, closed above, pulled back. I'm looking at this move right now to the retracement to the upside for this target on the 38. And so I'm going to go to a lower time frame. You can see where the overnight, it was just kind of going sideways overnight. Then the money zone hit, came back, pulled back down, retested this. And so we did get a little bit of a close right in there. So right now, what I would be looking for, now we're in the red zone, so we have to be kind of careful about that, but it did close above the 200. All of our moving averages in the right direction. Here's the 5, the 13, the arrow, and it did cross and close above the 200. So I'd say this thing's probably going a little bit stronger. With the dollar being weak, this S&P is going to be stronger. At least that's the basis that I use until proven otherwise. It seems to be more true than not true. And right now, here would be the next target. So if it can pull up, we've got the close above. I'm looking for here's a strong move up, looking for a pullback to the 25 or 30% range. So I'm going to use this for the pivot. Use this. It crossed over. Now it could go up higher, but it's either going to go up higher, I'll move it up. If it starts pulling back lower, I'm looking for it to come back into this 23 to 50 range. If it pulls back into the 23.50 range, I may take a shot at going on the upside as it works its way through this red zone. You can see it already penetrated it quite a bit. Here's where it originated, came back down. These prices penetrated pretty deep into this zone. I would be looking at this being the next target. I'll widen this out. And we're going to look for the pullback. We say it still could go up higher. As it goes up higher, it'll adjust these lines. But right now we're going to set it and we'll adjust it as we need to until it pulls back into this 23 to 50 area right in here. Right now it's not there yet, but I'm looking for it crossed over. I'm looking for a pullback. I want to see at least a 23% pullback. If it doesn't pull back less than that, we're just trying to jump on board a ship that we just don't know how far it's going to sail. I want to see the pullback and then watch for it to retest this area. And if it pulls back and breaks through that, it's going to go up higher. Probably looking at, this would be the target zone, would be up around after the pullback and we get into this trade. If we can get into the trade, then this would be my target zone up here. And here's the 38.50. What I'm going to do is I'm going to draw this, and then I'm going to, depending on how deep it pulls back, will depend on what my expectations are. If it pulls back to 50, I'll be trying to get out between the 50 and the 38. So right now we're just projecting this as our target area, and we'll adjust this as we see fit, depending on where we can get into this trade.
We've just had an alert now on the New Zealand US.
Oh, New Zealand USD. And we also have one here on the New Zealand US. Yep, there we go. All right, let's see what we have here. Bring up the chart, bring up my moving averages, and then we start drawing. Here's our zones. All right, so again, it came up, bounced off the 200, pulled back. Here's our down move. I'm going to be looking at from pretty much where it crossed over the 200. Now it's coming back to retest the 200. So I'm going to use this zone right here for my fib. It's going to go from zone to the bottom where the pivot was. Check my upper zones and the lower zones. Here's right here. Here's my upper 25. That would be a ultimate target at this point. Shape rectangle. Here's my lower 25. You can see it poked its nose right into that area. Came in deep. Actually, we'll pull this over a little bit more. Here's the zone where it came in, tried to pull it out, came back in. This is the move I'm looking at right here. Crossed, and it closed above the 38 with a pullback. This thing has a nice little possibility to look at this area. So it might be worth jumping into here. Let's see. So we got 7 pips. If we can break through, it already tested the 200. This would be the next zone up here. That's 20 pips. And the New Zealand US, check how strong the New Zealand is to the dollar. New Zealand strong, dollar is weak. New Zealand stronger, dollar is weak. I'll take that trade. And so we had the pullback, and I'll go for buy. Here's what I liked about this one. We had a nice strong move up out of the zone, pulled up. Let me mark my levels here. Here's my 50. Here's my 61. Here's my 38. Oops. We know that New Zealand is stronger. New Zealand's the first currency of the pair. We know there's some strength to that. And we're going to mark this going for, start with 15 pip stop, 7 pip target. Here's my target right at is coming up right at the bottom of the zone is where my target is. Moving averages are in the right direction. If I go to a 5-minute chart, we have the green, yellow, blue, crossed over the 200. So everything's in the right direction. And our spread is, we have about a 1.4, 1.5 spread. So that's good. We have a buy on the 5-minute. That's good. We just got another buy signal right here. We're already in this trade. And so this was, we can mark this. I'll just say mark with an arrow. That might be better. Here's where we got into this trade, right on the close of that candle. Here's my target. I'm looking at, here's where I entered. Here's my 6 pips. If it comes up here and starts fighting to get in, I'll just close it out and take my profit. But right now there's a lot of upward pressure. We've got all the moving averages in our right direction. And we had a nice pullback. Here's where I left the zone, went up. It tried to cross the 38, didn't cross it, pulled back. Now it's crossed. We're getting close. Actually, this is going to be my target up in this area where the blue line is. But if you look at the Fibonacci off of this, this is the origin of the strong move out. And you can see where, here's the origin. Here's the high. Looking for the pullback. Here's my 23 to 50% zone that I often talk about. Rectangle. So here's my zone for the pullback. I'm looking for the 23 to 50. That's right in here. You can see that here is my high. It pulled back into the zone, got into the trade, and now we're looking for it broke, closed above here. We may take some heat eventually, but we'll see. And right now we're looking for the target up, being right up in here. Again, we're only going for 5 pips, and we'll see where we go. Right now we don't quite even have our spread taken care of yet, but we're getting close. We have a 2-point spread. Let's see what the actual spread is on this. New Zealand. Let me go and slide this over. And the New Zealand USD, and the spread on that is right now 1.3. That's a very good spread. We have the momentum we have the wind to our back, and right now we're just looking to see if as it breaks through these areas and come up and retest this point right up in here. Actually, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we have had the request to have a look at gold. It looks like the trend is going up.
No way. Someone's interested in gold?
Surprise.
Okay. All right. I know there's anybody out there that traded gold.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see. Here's gold. Here we go. Here's the gold. I drew this out earlier today. Here's the upper downtrend. Here's we're on a 15-minute chart. Here's the overnight high right here. That's the overnight high. Wicked up, came back down. We have a nice little. This was our lower zone. We had and actually, I look at what I do is I look to see how many of these. Where can I find where 3 points are going to align up? And I use this one. Kind of looked at this as a near hit, but you can see this was pretty much in line with this. This came pretty close, probably about a spread's worth. And here's where it broke out. So it broke out, came back down, retested. So now I would be looking at this as being the overall zone to the downside to give me my 3 zone target. So, but from this point to here, because right now it's living inside of this trend line and this bottom trend line. And it's pulled back up to right now, this is the upper 25%. And you can see where this trend line, if you extend this out, so I have the anchor near hit, here's the hit, here's the break of the trend line, here's the upper trend line. So right now, this little area right here is going to be an area of interest. And you can see that's right at the upper 25% of this Fibonacci. So if I go to insert the shapes, here's my upper channel. There's my upper 25% of the down move, the last significant down move right to there. Here's my lower 25% in here. It came in, it pulled out, strong move up, retraced a little bit. Insert shapes, rectangle. So here's my lower 25% in here. Here's our sideways playground. It's coming up right now. It's testing this point right here. It's breaking through the 61%, closed above. Once it gets to 61%, once it breaks through this, we have 3 zones that broke through. Once it breaks through the third one, if it can't make it up to the 676, then it's probably going to start retracing. Then you're going to be looking at these coming on the downside. So I'm going to mark these. How's my trade doing? Not so hot. It's still working there, though. Gotta give it room to breathe. 61. Make this off a little bit. Try and make that as tight as I can. So I have my top zone, my bottom zone, and my 3 target zones. Change the fib lines. All I'm doing is I'm just reversing this. And now I'm looking at the bottom. I'm looking at this thing, looking for as it works its way to that zone, I'm looking for the pullbacks. I'm gonna go to a lower, see, here's the 1 minute chart, just to go to a lower chart where I can see what's going on. Here's the high, this is the top pivot. There's my 0 line. Now I'm looking to see if it's I'm looking for it to come back down either. Now it crossed the 61, which is this top blue one. Here's the 50, here's the 38. As it breaks through, you see the moving averages are starting to cross over. The green crossed over the yellow. Right now it's still consolidating. Once it breaks through this level right here, then I could be possibly looking at it going from this level down to here for the target, come out close, come back up, retest it, come back down, retest down here. Right now, I've seen it having a little bit of downward pressure. the gold against the US dollar. Let's see where the US dollar is right now. The US dollar is it's still pretty weak. So if it's weak against all the currencies, it's probably weak against the gold as well. Let's see, get back up here. So I'd be looking at this maybe as a pullback to the 25. So we're looking at this move up. Got to mark our 25 to 50 zone, which is this area right in here. Here's the 20. I'm looking for the pullbacks right now. Pullback to go back higher still. Remember, the dollar is still weak. And so I'm still looking at favoring it to the upside. See if it comes back down. Once it gets into this 23, here's my 200 moving average. It could very well come back down. This line right here is aligned with this. Here's an energy point right in this area. Looking for it to come down, bounce. And if it comes into this zone, now this zone is, let's see how much is this? This was basically, it's a $19 move. These zones are relatively strong, relatively big. But we're having a little bit of downward pressure. Moving averages and right. We don't know how deep this thing's going to go. I'm expecting it's probably going to go a little bit deeper than just the 23. If it can hold the 38, which is right here, this down move can hold the 38. Then the deeper this thing goes back, the better my target is to get back up to retest this moving average. So it came right down to that, and it worked right. It couldn't even hold that. It just came right down, tagged it, and pulled back again. But we're getting up pretty much to the upper part of the zone, so I'm not real favor taking this thing yet. Yes, Eva.
Apparently, you've got a red zones popped up in your New Zealand trade. You might want to have a look at it.
Ooh, yeah, thank you. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. So here we are. We came back down. Where are we at here? We were on a buy on this one.
I'm not sure which time frame.
Yeah, we're on a 5-minute right now. We're still in our...
Charmaine told us, but she didn't say which time frame she's looking at.
Yeah. Well, here was the pullback. It pulled back. We got in. It did actually break this. So let's see where the pullback's coming in right now. There's our high. Now we can readjust from this point right now. Let's see. Let's go to 1-minute chart on this.
She says it's on the 15-minute. There's a 15-minute red zone.
Oh, okay. Let's go put a 15-minute chart up here. See what we got. 15-minute red. That's going to be, that's probably, the zone right here. Yeah, that's pretty much where, but we're still, our target is still just underneath that zone. We're still looking for it to come up and retest that. We do have a trend from, here's the low, here's a hit. It would be, here's the other rejection point right there. I'll draw a trend line. Let's take it from here to here. We had one penetration. As it penetrate, I allow it to penetrate the wicks once. I don't want to cross any bodies here, but I will allow this one penetration one time only on the trend line, usually early on. When I get this, here's the hit, rejection, came back down. Here's the point that was rejected. So this is the third point of the trend line. We're still looking at this thing going long. The dollar is still weak to the New Zealand. So this is just a strong pullback the way I'm looking at this. So I'm still okay with this move. As we made this new high, we have to adjust this to here's the 23 right here. Move this up to the 23. Move this up to and the 50 is a little bit lower, up a little bit higher here. Here's the 50, so here's the 23, here's the 50. We're still okay as far as we have this moving average out of the way. Our stop is way down here. Here's our stop way down here. So, I mean, if it starts breaking through our entry zone, then we may want to rethink this. But right now we are in the trade. This is a fairly strong pullback. Here's where you can see where this is where I entered, and I entered in right at the top, and the spread, it was higher than where my actual entry, where the price action was.
Eric is saying that my FX book is showing a U.S. initial jobless claim coming in 14 minutes, which could help this trade.
Okay. I need to get that FX book news back up again. I lost it, and I have to find out how to get it back again. Anyway, we'll see what happens here. There's a nice little move up. Here's a strong move up. This one actually probably came down. If I were to move this Fibonacci here down to the origin of the last push, here's a push, pull back. Here's a strong move up, pull back. Strong move up, pull back a little bit deeper. Let's see, so here's the origin of the strong move up. So we'll see how deep it goes. Right now it's coming back to, let's see, where's our 30, where's my zones here? It actually pulled back from this strong move up. It pulled back to the 78%. So that's a pretty strong retracement. We're not looking at a lot of pips because of the time frame we're on. We're only looking at 8 pips, where this whole move was only 8 pips. So the pullback was less than 8 pips. Right now it pulled back, and now we're going to see if it's going to retag this. If it pulls back to 78, breaks through here, then the upper move could be a strong move right up to, again, to where the target is. You see my target is still below the 76. It pulled back to the 76 off of this move. So again, we're just going to have to be patient. Give us some breathing room. And so we have a new trend from here. It came back down, found some buyers coming in. So we have a new trend going in this direction. Here's our trend. Here's our anchor. Here's our hit. This is strong pullback. There's a good chance that this thing's only going to pull back to maybe this zone up in here. If it can't break through the top, I'll have to bail on this trade. But right now I'm looking to see how far. We got a little red zone here, and that's right above where my entry is. So this one may not work out so hot, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. The dollar New Zealand. Let's see where we're at with the trend. New Zealand's still strong, dollar's still weak. And it's giving up some strength over here on the lower time frame. So this one may not work out.
Quick question for you on this trade. Do you think it's a good idea to add another small lot when it's in drawdown, or just stick to the strategy?
I say stick to the strategy. This one's not giving me any reason to think it's going. Right now I'm thinking, right now I'm looking at my best shot. It's probably going to be to maybe come out to about break even on this one. I would not be adding to the, you could, I mean, if you wanted to, well, there's a couple of theories about this. We didn't get in a very good spot here. I do expect it to bounce off of here. If you took another position down here, that would bring your overall average to be within this range, and you could maybe get out to break even, which is not a bit, and I'll do that periodically. But we'll just, right now, I'm just going to hold my ground here on this one, because this thing could still keep, I mean, right now, the moving average, now I'm looking at these moving averages on this. You see the green is coming up to the yellow. I'd like to, if the green can't cross the yellow, then this thing's probably going to go down lower. But let's see if this thing can cross. Let's expand this out a little bit. This is kind of like the point of decision right here. Green crossed the yellow, came back up, came up, couldn't cross to the upside. Now, if this candle can come up, that will pull this green one up over, and then we may be able to come up here and maybe get a little bit of a, but this is a strong pullback off of this move right here. Strong enough to be able to form a zone, but here was the original zone, but now it's formed another zone in our way. If I go to a 5-minute chart, it may not be there. Yeah, it's not. So it's still in an upward, we're still in an uptrend. From this point to here, we could maybe have another little trend line. Strong move up, pull back. So I'm going to take it from where the origin of the strong move up to the pullback. That pretty much, that confirm. You can see where this little move here confirms that this trend line is still holding. Every time I double down on the pullback, oftentimes sometimes it works. I say it works maybe half the time. Sometimes you're better off than just waiting for it to come up. If you can't get out, just get out with a small loss.
Okay, so I have a couple of things for you, Al.
Okay.
First off, apparently Bitcoin is really moving. Secondly, Here's something that you and I never even considered, which seems to be kind of fun. And because it's during a London session, it's another index that we can look at is the UK 100. Mark brought it to my attention. It looks like a pretty good index that goes along with the German 30 that we may want to be able to look at before the market opens in the US.
UK one was, but no, that's
The
a
UK
good,
100.
that's
Yeah.
a good thought. Let's see what we have here. The UK 100. I haven't really given that one thought, but let's take a look at it.
Me either. So I pulled it up on mine and had a quick look at it.
Indexes. Where is it here? UK.
You haven't opened your indexes. It's not open yet.
Oh, there we go. There we go. This is where we're looking at.
The UK 100. There it is.
Right here.
Okay, so you have it.
I do have it up there. Okay, let me see. All you have to do is find it. UK 100. That should be down below here, I'm thinking. UK 100. Here we go. Chart window. I'll add this to the list.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great idea. If we can't do anything with S&P and whatnot till the market's open, then
yeah, that's a. I'm not opposed to trading the indexes. I prefer to have it when they're open as opposed to they're pre-markets. So this is something to consider, especially since we have some London people in here. Exactly. I'm going to go and add this to it's a UK 100. So I'm going to add this to my expert advisor list on the properties. And we're going to German 30, S&P. And let's tuck it in right behind the S&P. So I'm going to go capital letters, UK 100, comma. See if I can get this on the list. Okay.
There it is. I just need to change your time frame. You've got the hour. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. They're all
it should not matter. Okay, so there it is. Let me see if I can pull it up. Yep, there it is. Okay, good. All right, we're going to add that to our list of things to look at. Let's see, how's my trade doing? I'm only pulled it back 6 pips. Right now, I'm not too worried about it. Let's see, let me just double check it before we get too far away here. New Zealand USD. Came back, tagged the trend line. Now, if it breaks the trend line, I'll just bail on this trade, lose a few pips. But right now, I think it's still within the realm of possibility to be able to break even on this one. Maybe even make a few dollars. We'll see. We're not going to win them all. Just try to win most of them. German 30. Let's see what we got. That's not the one. German 30 and New Zealand USD. That's the one. Okay, so again, I'm looking. Here's where we actually had an arrow right in this area right here. So from here we had the nice strong pullback, but it is in a channel. You can see where here's the low, here's a hit, here's a hit. Look at these uppers making higher highs, higher highs, higher highs. There's probably a really good chance it's still going to come up. Here's the upper channel. We had one little breach of this one. You could probably pull this back to maybe down to here. Nope, that's like that. This one works pretty well. Here's the anchor, here's the hit, here's a hit, here's a hit. Pull back, here's the channel that's trading in. As it's a rather slow go, but we could still, I may want to back off, depending on how long it takes to get up here. It may hit my target, it may not. We'll just have to. Right now, we're being patient. Right now, we've got this moving average as a barrier. We have this one as a barrier. We have the green crossed over the yellow, which is a little bit of a pullback, and we're just going to let it ride here and just see what happens. Here's the moving average I'm going to be focused on. This one got pulled back to the arrow moving average, couldn't break through, and now it took up right now. So my stop, as long as my stop is below this little zone right here. In fact, I can probably tighten this thing up a little bit. I can grab it. Let's just use this at 71.79. Let's just make that. Right click, modify. 71.79. No, it's going to move it up 10 pips here. 71.79. Modify my stop, bring it up a little bit tighter to this little zone here. So that way, if it does break, it's going to get me out with less than, right now I got in at 89. My stop right now, I moved it from a 15 pip stop to a 10 pip stop. And I could probably even tuck it a little bit tighter, but right now, as long as the price stays above the arrow moving average and the 200 moving average, I'm still good. I'm still going to stay in this trade. Let's take a look at that UK 100. We'll draw that one out while we're here. Again, we're going to look and see how's the dollar to the British pound. Let's check that out. British pound is kind of weak. Not a big spread there. No spread at all there. No spread at all there. Getting a little bit stronger to the dollar on the lower time frame. So I'll be starting to be looking at the pound getting stronger to the dollar significantly. And come back in. So the pound we're looking at this thing to get stronger. So the dollar, reference to the dollar. Our moving averages are not exactly in the position I'd like to see them. But here's the strong, I'm on a 1 hour chart. Here's the strong down move, came back up, retested. Here's a little, where's the wick? We have a wick down here. Here's the rejection right there. We have a wick here. If I take this over, let's see if these three line up. Come on. There we go. Grab this one down here. Let's see where these things line up. Here's the low. Here was it had a nice pullback here. Here's our M right here. Came back, tagged it, and it broke, but it couldn't. Here's a little bit of a trap right here. Strong move down. You can see where the change of color is. This is where the wick stopped. So we have a little bit of a zone here. So let's draw this out with the Fibonacci's off the 1 hour. And we're going to take it from this point down to the pivot. Look at my 25% range. Hopefully you're noticing how mechanical this is. Everything's just doing it all the same each time. Draw my range. Draw my range. That's up here. And you see a red zone right here, a green zone down below. Here's my range from this point to my upper 25. Nice. Here's a 25. Here's a nice pullback. Came back down, tested. Now it's coming to retest this area. It pulled back. Let's just tag this right in here a little bit. It kind of penetrated it, pulled back out, came back, re-hit the trend line. So here's the 2 points where remember I said I allow one violation, where I can't cross any bodies of the candles. I can cross one wick, but I can't cross any more than that. Here's my move out. Here's the 61, 50, 38. Here's the close. Came on up, it closed above the 50, strong pullback. Now I'm looking at it to be crossing. I'm looking at this thing to kind of go higher. I'm on a 1 hour chart. Let's look at where they are on a 15-minute chart. Let's see where the moving averages are. Moving averages are moving in the right direction. We have the green. Now the yellow hasn't quite crossed the arrow moving average, so that one's still not quite there yet, but we're getting a strong pull back. It came out of this 25 zone, came out once, went right back in again. Now it's coming back out. This is probably the last pullback. Now I'm looking at this thing to start crossing these three zones. Going to mark this one. Have the close above. And now I'm looking for I'll be looking for a tag on the 200 with a pullback. I'm going to, once I get these horizontal lines set, There's one. Here's the third one. Oops. Here's the third one. So right now I'm looking to see it across all three of these. Came back closed, pull back, looking for a pullback. That would be the target after the pullback. Comes up, crosses over, closes, pulls back, looking for this to be the target. So right now I'm looking at, here's the first move up. I'm going to eliminate change my Fibonacci's. Delete that. And now I'm looking for the move to the upside, and I'm looking for a pullback. We don't know how high it's going to go. We don't know how deep the pullback is going to go, but we're going to just mark it and see what happens. Here's the low, here's the high. I'll put it, just estimate it here. Now I'm going to estimate the pullback being in the 38 to 50 area. And once this thing starts to pull back, then we'll be able to reset the lines, the zone here. But right now, this is our target zone. I want to pull back. So basically, what I want to see, I want to see it get up as it pulls. I mean, if it starts to pull back now, then I'll just drop this thing down. This line, if I can get it. Come on. If you can't grab it, just go to the object list and turn it on over here. It's already there, okay. So if this is as high as it goes and it starts to pull back, it looks like it's trying to. Let's go to a 5-minute chart. Expand it a little bit. I like to see the close above this blue line here. I want to see the close, and I got a 5-minute close above, so that's a good thing. That's my trade doing. It's working its way through. Why can't I grab this? There we go. And I'm looking for the 23%. This is where it's trading you, where this can kind of drive you crazy. But here's the 50. Here's my 20. Oh, crap. Here's my 23. Here's my pullback zone. Wherever this thing is, I'll just keep adjusting. As it goes higher, I'll just keep, I can't get in until it pulls back 23%. That's part of my rules. If it doesn't pull back, I don't take the trade. But right now I'm looking at this for being the target after the pullback. And that gives me, that's $31 worth of move, or 31, no, it's called $31 since it's a US against the US. I'm looking for the pullback into this area, having this moving average, this green one staying above the yellow on the pullback. If this green crosses the yellow on the pullback, I can't take the trade until it crosses back over again. As long as that green moving average, this is the 5-period moving average, as long as that can stay above the yellow on a pullback, I'm still good to take the trade. So right now we're just planning the trade. We don't know how high it's going to go. We don't know how far it's going to pull back, but we have to wait for it to, wherever it is, if it pulls back to 23%, I'm good to 23 to the 38. There's the 38 line. Let me mark that. Just put an arrow in there. Here's my 38 line right in about that area right in there. Make it a little darker. So like I said, until it pulls, if it goes up higher, then this zone is going to come on up, and it may come up to where the top of this be even with this blue line right here. Again, this is going to be the target after the pullback. This thing only pulled back 11%. It's still a pretty strong move. But we also have these little wicks right here we have to pay attention to. Let's see, where's my... It's going to have to get through this little area right in here. Right here is where the sellers came in for this down move. It could have a little bit of a problem getting through this area, but once it breaks through this, then it's pretty much going to be clear sailing up until you get to the blue line. I would expect it maybe pull back up to here, then pull back to give us our entry into it. I say if it doesn't give you what you want, you just don't take the trade. You just stay out of it. Questions? Let's see, because you're shooting for 5 pips, do you end up spending more time behind the charts than if you were to shoot for 10 or 20? I'd say probably not, because I'm usually sitting here anyway. Usually if I'm sitting here in the mornings and I'm trading in the mornings, so I'm sitting here anyway. If I look for a 20 or 20 pip move, it's probably going to take longer to get to it. Not always, but sometimes it does. In which case, then yeah, I might be in a trade for all day long waiting for that 20 pips. I just soon get my 5 pips and have a life after the morning. And like I said, by having my stop at 15 pips, if I go for a 20 pip target, I'm looking at a 40 pip stop. I can only take half the lot size. By having a tighter stop, I can add more lots to it, and I can get more profit with less time in front of the computer. Hopefully that answers your question. I'm going to be looking for a little bit of a bounce off of this area, and that might give me my entry. If it bounces off of this, pulls back to the blue line, that may give us my entry into this thing. We did get the cross and close above the 200. The green's still above the yellow, yellow's still above the blue. And now we're just waiting for the pullback. Let's see, starting to get profitable on this one. Let's just see how this thing's doing here. Finally profitable into this trade, still going up for my target. If it comes up and tags that and can't break through, I'll just close the trade out. If this thing pulled back to the 76, so my new target can be, I would say my new target can be up here, the 76 to 61, which is right where my target is. The question is, see, it's coming right on up to this trend line, this upper channel. Looks like it rejected right near the 50%. So it's kind of respecting this upper trend line here. And let's see, New Zealand, US, see where that's at. New Zealand is still strong. US is still weak, strong, weak, still good. Still can wait for the target. And see US WIS. I'm not too excited about 1 minute chart trades, but here's a British CAD. Let's take a look at this one. Bounce, arrow, go, but it's going right into a green zone. Check our moving averages. Load. Everything's consolidating right now. Nothing's definite. I'll pass on that. Next trade. Gold, 1 minute buy. Let's see, gold. Let's see where our gold chart is here. Let's move this thing over. And it's still within this trend. I mean, if it comes back up and tags that, I would be looking. Like I said, I'm not real keen on gold, period. It's one that kind of bit me this week. I don't usually trade it. I took a shot at it and didn't work out any better than it has been in the past. So don't see much to trade on that one. My New Zealand trade. Well, everything, the 5 is starting to move away from the yellow, still supporting the trend line, the arrow moving average, still supporting the lower trend line. Maybe I get a pull back to the trend line, but I'm still looking optimistic that it's going to come up here and retest that. But it may not. Still have strength on the New Zealand to the dollar, so that's still good. And let's see, what else do we have here? No cryptos. How's our London thing here doing? Penetrated fairly deep into here. Nope. It chewed up most of that, this wick. Starting to develop a wick on its own here. Here's my 0 line. Move that on up to the top here. Now I can move this. And actually, this is kind of what I was looking for, hoping it would happen, is that now my blue zone is at the 23, is right at this blue target zone. Move this thing up to the 50%. Now on the pullback, if it pulls back, it's pulling back. We've got this zone for a reference. We've got this whole zone for a reference. Pip value between, let's see, how long's dollar value between here and here? It's call it $17, I guess, we're looking at, or 17 pounds. I'm not sure what denomination that's in, but 17 units anyway.
I think all of our charts through our broker are in US dollars.
Are they? Okay.
They're represented in US dollars.
We had that discussion yesterday, and I believe you were consistent with your answer.
Yeah. I don't think they expect us to try to figure out pounds and euros.
Yeah. I'll just call it units. You can determine, you can call it units whatever you want to. I'm looking at the units, so it doesn't really matter whether dollars or pounds or euros. It just doesn't really matter. They're units to me. And it's 13.91. Still waiting for a pullback. You could almost, you could argue the point that here is the first move up, here is the first pullback. You can see where the colors changed as it crossed over the 200 moving average. You can make an argument and say, okay, I'm going to use this reference for the strong move up, and then here is a pullback. But even so, you still wouldn't have gotten pulled. It still didn't pull back. Well, yeah. Had I used this as a reference for the leg up, here's a first leg up, here's a pullback. Change colors, crossed over the moving average. Strong move up, pull back. This would have actually gotten us in at the 23% for this next move. But we didn't do that. Anyway, I'm going to use it here. I'm still going to stick with the 23%. I'm going to use this reference here, though. So I'm going to move this one up, because it does have some momentum to the upside. I'm just change this to the 50. Tightens up that zone a little bit. Pulls back, and now if it pulls back, it's probably going to bounce off of this moving average, bounce off of these moving averages. Everything's still in the right direction. Still just waiting for a pullback, trying to find a place to get in. I got some S&P German, S&P 15 minutes. Let's take a look at that. Take this one off. For some reason they didn't align the same way. Here's the arrow. Let's see where the averages are. Looks like they're moving in the right direction. Well, we're right into our red zone. That's not real good. We'll check out and see how many zones above or what the, right now it's still has to cross over this 200 before it goes to the upside. Again, it's still a little bit early for the S&P. We're coming up on, let's see, another 10 minutes, it's going to be 9 o'clock. So we're almost done here. Looks like it does have some room to the upside. Let's check out our 1 hour chart and see if we can find a range. Here's a strong move down. This is today. This was yesterday's range. This was Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday. So from Tuesday to Wednesday had a strong move down. Retested this area. And I'd be willing to wager that from this move up to this pullback here, this is probably going to fall right around the 78%. Let's see how close I came here. Here's a move up to the top. And this pullback right to, see this little wick right here at the 78. Here's the lower 25%, bounced off of that. That qualifies this as a nice little trend line. So from a higher time frame on the S&P, we have a trend. Here's the wick hit right there. And here was the bounce. Here's the 61. Right now it's coming on up to this area, which is this moving average. Strong move down, punched out of it, pulled back. Right now it looks like to me like it wants to come up and retest this area. Crossed over the 61, closed, pulled back. Now it's heading up to the 38. This could be a possible nice little trade on a lower time frame. Let's see where we're at with the 15-minute or the 5. Moving averages are in the right direction. We have this little zone right here. Let's see. There's a 50 crossed over. Often I say here's a level on a level. First level oftentimes will break. The second level will hold, which is right here at the 38. That would be a target. And waiting for a place to get in. I don't think there was enough room to this. Here it left the zone, came back up. We test this little pullback here wasn't enough to be able to get into it. Let's measure that out. And let's see. Left, pull back, measure this. Let me remove my Fibonacci's from the upside. We've already made the marks. And now we're going to be checking this as this thing climbs on up. Looking for a pullback. So from here to here, do we have a pullback? Not quite to the 20, only pulled back 11%. Got to move it up higher. Here's the, right now, I'm just going to move this out over here so I can see where we're at. See how high it goes. Let's say it goes up to the top. Looking for a pullback to the 23%. That's going to be right into this area. This would be the pullback zone right in here. this thing doesn't go up any higher, it comes back, then we'll just have to back this off a little bit to this area down in here. Where it stops, nobody knows. And if it doesn't give you a chance to get in the trade, you just don't get in the trade. That's just all there is to it. Questions?
No,
We have about 8 more minutes before we're done here. So let's just, if you have any questions or comments, feel free. Let's take a look at the UK again. Let's start paying attention to this one a little bit more. Now that especially I know we've got some folks in London and over in Europe. So plus it gives us something to trade during in this session.
Exactly. While the London session's open, when does it close? 11 o'clock our time, 11 a.m.
I don't know. Maybe
They're
somebody
5
there can
hours
tell
ahead
us.
of us. Sorry?
Maybe somebody can tell us. I don't know.
Like, what time does it close over there, guys? At 4 o'clock in the afternoon for you?
I think there's about a 5-hour time change, I think, from the East Coast to the UK, London.
Yeah, so that would be 11 a.m. our time. So it gives us time to, we can trade that in the mornings before the US market even opens and up until 11 o'clock. Expand our horizons out.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, basically what we're looking at, I'm looking at a chat. Generally, we don't see the chats to answer the questions. So if you can put your questions in the question and answer box, but I'll answer this one here. Basically, as we get the we went to pullback. When we want to pull back into a zone. Oh, did we answer that one?
Don't you see right below it my answer?
I wasn't reading your answer. I was just looking at the question.
But go ahead. Maybe I didn't explain it properly, but go ahead.
How much we'll pull back? Let me see. Yeah, basically what we're doing, we're just looking at where our projections are, where our projected take profits are, where our projected entries are. The more it pulls back, if you're in the right direction, the more it pulls back, the more likely you are to hit your target. The less it pulls back. One thing you don't want to do is you don't want to be taking it right, kind of like what I did with this New Zealand US. I got in right here and it pulled back. It is right now. It's still kind of trade inside this little channel. I mean, I'm a little sorry I didn't just take the profits off while I had a chance before this pullback because it was already hitting this top of this channel. Yeah, basically the more if it pulls back too much, you're looking more of a reversal. But again, you want to be buying low and selling high. So the more it can pull back in an uptrend, the more likely you are to hit your target. Because that way, even if it challenges the last high, which would be like right here, right now. Right now my target still, even if it comes back up and tests this high off of this pullback, I can still get profitable. And now this channel is actually going. So if the bottom holds, now I have a good shot of making my target. If this thing breaks, then if this moving average can hold, I'm still okay. My stop is still way down here, but it's got a pretty good little swing to it right now. Right now, this thing's looking at a swing of roughly 6 pips. I mean, 6 pips is not much. That's kind of a normal swing. One reason why I like using 5 to 7 is because these things travel in 7, 14, 21 pip moves. That's why I like using the 7 as a target, but a lot of times the spread doesn't get me the 7. If I can get 5 and start struggling, I just take it and take my 5. Let's see where we're at here. How's our S&P looking right now? Still waiting for the S&P to pull back. In fact, it's coming up at 9 o'clock. This is sort of like the pre-market move right now. So when the market opens, I would expect a pullback at the market open, maybe get us in to go up higher. But right now, it looks like it's wanting to go a little bit higher with the dollar being weaker. Dollar's starting to pick up some strength here. It's off the bottom here, off the bottom here. The dollar's starting to pick up a little bit of strength as we're getting closer and closer to the U.S. market opening up. And let's see what else. Now let's check what do we got here? We have the NASDAQ or New Zealand CAD. Let's see what that one looks like. Moving average is up. And everything is still consolidating right in here. You see that it's barely crossed over the 200. Everything's real tight right now. Nothing real clear on this one yet. No trade on that. Plus we have a arrow with the zone right up in the front, and there's only like 7 pips. The strategy says to have 20 pips to your target. We don't even have 6 pips, so no trade there.
Actually, we have something in the Q&A, Al, from Garvin.
Okay.
Let everyone know Nate will be hosting New York session today, but he might be running a little bit late. Next week onwards, a host will be available to cover all the sessions. Thanks, Garvin.
Oh, good. All right, great. Sounds like maybe to find some people to cover these things.
Yeah.
I know it's been a problem trying to find people to cover the New York, the 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock session that they have. So it sounds like they found some people to do it. That's a good thing. I just don't have the to do from 7:30 to 12 is just a little bit too long for me to do. That's good. It's good to know that Nate's going to do it today. So with that in mind, that means there's going to be opening up here. We're going to go wrap this up. Head on over to the other session and see what Nate has to say today. Actually, if he's running it, I might actually go over there myself and just see how he runs his sessions. I usually can't catch it during the middle of the night. It's hard to do a session at 7:30 if I'm up till 5 and from 1 o'clock to 5. So anyway, we're going to wrap this up. Again, thanks for being here. Thanks for your questions. Thanks for your participation and your patience. And we'll see you tomorrow at same time, 7:30 to 9. See you then.
Okay, goodbye, everybody. Have a great day. See y'all tomorrow.